Happy Saturday, my dudes. We are back with another XRP Outlook video for you all, and just a general update overall regarding the current market situation, regulations, and a few little news articles to assist me in my current bias and current investment on XRP. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I know this video has been requested. We did drop crypto lesson 4 yesterday. However, judging from the comments, you guys wanted an XRP video, so I was planning to just play CSGO all day today and just build some Lego. However, it seems like you guys want it, judging from the community post. You guys want XRP, so here we are again with another XRP update video, and going through, more importantly, a bit about a BTC and Tether situation, a bit of a continuation from the last video. This is almost becoming an entire series of itself, where we'll just be documenting the journey of this XRP video, and eventually, and hopefully one day, documenting the profit taking procedure of this particular investment and any other XRP investments from this particular time onwards. Now, to kickstart, we'll just look at XRP, which is the first thing to really cover. We'll go over a bit of BTC as well, but the predominant focus of this video is obviously XRP. One thing that I drew on the Innovation Markets live session yesterday for the members was a channel. And we've drawn this trend line already. I've covered this in a prior video of the retest, but when you put it into a channel perspective, it makes things a little bit clearer on what is currently happening. Now, we've covered the obvious, incredibly obvious manipulative pump and dump that occurred before the SEC news went public, and obviously after the assistance of the move lower. And as we've now all gathered, and hopefully all of you have gathered, the fundamentals are simply an assistance of what the technicals show us. So this channel here, when illustrated in this manner, shows you very clearly from 2018 onwards, we have been in a strong decline and a strong downwards channel until we eventually spiked back down to the lows of where we were around 2017. Of around, let's just see here, we spiked down in 2020 March around the region I bought to around 11 cents or so. But prior, overall, we can see a nice solid floor around this region here from around 15 cents down to around 10 cents or so. So we've had a nice support floor that's been solidified. Price is looking very nice. It's rejected. And as I've covered to all of the members as well, when we get to the brink point of price going back down, remember the psychological impact of investing at this price point. Let's just say before the bull run took off, you're still holding and price comes all the way back down to retest and come to break even or lower from where you may have potentially originally invested. Psychologically, it's going to be quite damaging and you're going to get scared. And it's very likely shakeouts like this happen to drive the retail trader out of the market. We see it in the Forex market. We covered this yesterday on the live as well. There is a lot of manipulation in these markets, and they are orchestrated by people who are either very wealthy, whales as we call them in crypto. It's either orchestrated by whales or even institutions who now obviously have a significant chokehold on the crypto market, as we've evidently seen, and as we've definitely evidently seen on BTC. And we'll get to that in a minute. But more importantly, after seeing this significant shakeout, and I highly recommend you watch the new crypto course lesson on wicks, because the wicks are a telltale sign for us on what XRP could be doing next. Now, after breaking out of this channel, we broke through, we retested this channel. It was likely after such a significant channel from 2018 was broken, there was going to be an inevitable push higher, and that is why I obviously invested at the lows here. Common sense is always the best thing to always do is just invest at the lows, and this is a good lesson to kind of tell you guys as well in terms of BTC. I am a long-term investor and my principles are very strict. I do not care if it goes to 3 million. I do not invest at highs, and I choose not to invest at highs. I rather invest my capital into assets that are either undervalued due to them not being recognized yet, or simply due to the fact some kind of FUD has come out and all of the rubbish news that has been coming out that has detrimented it. As long as the project hasn't necessarily failed or there's been some kind of scam, I see all of the FUD as a positive and a better reason to buy, because now we are currently up $40,876 on this XRP investment that was made live for you all here at 0.23160. So the money that I have made from this tiny movement alone is arguably much larger than what I would have made with a similar investment on BTC. Not to mention, even for the majority of people who are looking to buy at these current price points, and I am a frequent visitor of many forums, whether that's Reddit or conspiracy forums, and the amount of people I have seen putting their stimulus into BCT at the top, I mean, guys, really, it's not necessary. And quite frankly, jumping onto a bullish train, even if you entered here and it's gone up, I just prefer to wait for pullbacks. It's the same with stock investments, it's the same with any long-term investments. Even if you're dollar cost averaging, it just doesn't sit right with me to invest at such high prices. However, with simple movements like this, and by simply being a bit patient, we've managed to make $40,000 already, and we did reach around 65k. So my bias is shifting towards a much larger breakout of XRP, and you may note that my buy order is now at 20 cents instead, and we'll get to that in a second. But looking at this overall, and looking at the incline of wicks from where the low spiked down, wiped out many people, it then retested, formed a nice little head and shoulders, we've spiked down and now tapped this level, but overall the wicks are getting higher. And because we've wiped out this level here now as well, if we were to draw another channel, which obviously isn't the greatest, whether that's from there or there, up to there, let's just say there is obviously a new channel that is coming into play in some aspect. So this has got my interest, and the fact that it's pushed up so high. Again, if we go back to that weekly, actually, if we just look at this movement here, this is up and it has seen over 100% return from the lows already, which quite frankly, for a crypto asset that everyone is claiming is dead and is over, and you know, it's FUD, the SEC is going to kill it, there clearly is liquidity and there clearly is capital. Because why would this, and again, also the narrative of XRP being dead, whilst anything can happen in this market and it could obviously go to zero, I do not believe so. And if it was that drastic, it probably would have gone much lower than what it already has, but it's abiding by very basic technical analysis ideology, so I'm not very concerned myself. And again, investment wise, buying here in comparison to buying up here, for me, is an absolute no-brainer. So going over to XRP again, we can see now with the progress that's been made, and make sure you pay attention to that wick lesson, because we've spiked down below, we've seen a similar shakeout to what I showed you with this breakout here, the spike, the shakeout, potentially another retest of this level after climbing higher. So what is in mind for me right now, whether this comes down to, let's plot a fib, good old fib, never lets us down. We can see we have got the 61.8 there, corresponding with a prior level of resistance, and just below where we saw some prior support, the 78.6 retracement is aligning with around 0.214. Looking a bit lower, we have 0.20, so anywhere within that 22 cents to 20 cents region is an area of interest for me to add another position. And in the worst case scenario, going from the inverse, as there is currently some resistance here as well, there is a possibility we could maintain this Fibonacci and push lower into the 11 cents region, which for me, either way, doesn't really matter. I'll buy more again here and continue holding, and then I've averaged in nicely around this area. I'm a very happy man and will probably make a lot of money from this in the future, and arguably many of you will do the same. As for those of you who were an Innovation Markets member, you followed me on the sale of this and you also bought in at a good price, so everyone's in profit right now. We're all pretty happy. The market's going up, Ether's breaking through channels, IOTA, I covered 55 cents, absolutely flying. LTC should be at $240 to $300 soon, and BAT is something I've had my eyes on for a very long time. I've got a good bit of BAT, but I am anticipating to break out. It's been consolidating, and again, from an investment perspective, I'd much rather invest here than invest up here. So yeah, things are looking interesting. But going over to XRP once more, from a downside perspective, we do have that target there. However, not too much of a threat at the time being, as we've seen some solid momentum pushing higher. From a 4-hour perspective, the head and shoulders is looking more clear and evident that it could become a possibility. But overall, you can see how we are actually maintaining these Fibonacci targets. You can see we've maintained the 78.6, but we're now acting on the 61.8%, around 30 cents, as support. So you can see slowly but surely, and make sure you watch those crypto lessons because they're climbing higher bit by bit. And I believe, I'm not sure what I said in the last video in terms of targets. I obviously said I believe 55 to 60 cents will come through relatively soon. Whether it goes down first or up, my main upside target for now is around 55 to 60 cents. But I believe, and I say this cautiously, I do believe XRP is going to surprise many people, especially with this regulatory stuff, which we'll get into shortly. It's a positive for me, and I actually believe now we're going to go to $1 to $2 within this year. That is something that I have shifted to. The more I look into this news, all of the SEC stuff, the regulatory clampdowns, the scrutiny. I'm sure you understand where I'm getting to, but I believe with this current movement, progression higher. There's also many different trend lines that are being broken here. So we're breaking through continuously on these different levels, and we've got a nice little wedge. Everyone loves a nice wedge, and as we can see, there's some nice targets. Maybe another retest of the 61.8, around 30 to 29 cents if it doesn't go lower, and then boom, should see a nice breach towards that 60 cents region. So overall, right now, I am up around 40% on this investment already. So I'm a very happy man, and the patience has most definitely paid off. And I kind of wish I bought here now. I should have seen that fall coming, but because I was waiting for 16 cents, I was betrayed by the market, the good old crypto market. So, you know, we miss opportunities, but the major investment is in, and we can dollar cost average on the way up. It's really a no-brainer from here onwards. So yeah, we can continue with that in a minute, but let's just go over to something that I've been looking into and what I'm writing in that document. Again, the document is taking a very long time because, number one, I do not have that much time within the day. I barely have 1 hour to myself these days, so I'm pretty much working flat out on many different things, providing for the members, giving you guys content, course lessons, you know the drill. So with that document that's being written, it's led me to a bit more of an investigation into what's currently going on and looking at just the overall coincidence in the timelines of the events that are happening. Now, if you do not know, with the BTC situation, if I believe I have a channel somewhere, parallel channel. Now, this is very interesting because if I just get rid of all of these beautiful little levels over here, make life easier for everybody. The level that we're currently at is a fairly critical level, and we need to pay attention to the date of the 15th of January. Now, looking at this channel from around 2013, we can see something interesting as well, guys, just to point out. BTC in 2013 printed a high November 2013. Take note of the date and the month November. We then dropped around 87% to around $150, which shows you prices can drop very drastically, and that's why I still believe no matter how high this goes, the likes of $10,000 to $6,000 is still a possibility. There's a clear support floor here as well. Again, it's not about being emotional. It could still easily go to $130 as this channel shows, but it doesn't mean it cannot drop all the way back down and come back down to this channel, which is still around 10k or below. So do not pay attention to people that just talk about moon, because we've gone from $1,000 to $150 before. We've gone from $20,000 to $3,000 before. There is no reason why this cannot drop all the way back down. And I still stick to it, even as long as it doesn't break this channel. I still stick to the possibility of a downside movement at 10k or so. But pay attention to this. We've got November 2013, where the high was printed. We've then got December, where the last high was printed. We're now in January. So if we just follow a simple pattern here, November, December, January, it's not, again, none of this is a given, but we are here to just try and piece together different scenarios, because if I knew 100% with what would happen, then, you know, I'd probably be considerably, maybe even a billionaire right now, but unfortunately I'm not. So that means I have to use what the market provides to identify as much as possible what could be happening. So because we do not have any historical price action over here, I'm not going to be the guy that wings and just draws 100 different levels and tries to come to a conclusion. All I'm saying is look at the patterns, look at the fact that January is kicking down on a lot of regulatory clarity, but more importantly, what is happening in January. New York Attorney General says Bitfinex Tether could complete loan document handover in weeks. Now, this article was December the 11th, 2020. Now, the New York Attorney General anticipates the handover of loan documents relating to an alleged 850 million cover-up will be completed in the coming weeks. Now, if we go to the coming weeks, that date brings us to January the 15th, 2021. Now, as I've lost track of life in the days, it's currently the 9th of January, so in 6 days, Bitfinex and Tether will have to bring forward documents to disclose their financial relations with one another. Now, If you are like myself, you are a skeptical person, you like to question the nature of reality and question the nature of the cryptocurrency markets, Bitfinex and Tether have a very suspicious relationship. And as we saw in 2017, the majority of the pump did come from 2017, my apologies, did come from USDT. We saw the miraculous printing of USDT, and then when USDT started having some issues in 2018, we saw a decline. Now, one of the reasons I believe a lot of the altcoins are suppressed at present is because they're not being utilized for their true purpose, or they're not being utilized as payments, especially XRP, LTC, BTC. In 2017, LTC, BTC, Ether and XRP were being utilized quite massively for methods of payment, especially with the ICO craze. In 2017, we saw Ether being used in masses, LTC was used quite a lot, and even XRP was used quite a lot. But what I'm trying to get at is with USDT printing in severe masses, I mean disgusting masses, and you would have seen from my Twitter, I tweeted this a while ago, January, I say a while ago, I think that was yesterday, yeah it was. So we're having a look on Whale Alert and just tracking all of this USDT that's being transferred from the treasury. We're seeing disgusting numbers being minted, and 400 million minted at the USD treasury. What on earth are they doing? Now, I'm not an investigator, and you know, I'm not an expert on this matter, but USDT, the fact that they continuously keep minting, look, another 400 million there, they have minted
billions and 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 billions
of dollars. So it's a bit suspicious to me as well why it's always such round numbers. 400 million, like 400 million, 200 million being transferred. They are such precise numbers that it does make me question, if people are using this, why are they printing such round numbers? If there is a potential demand for this, why are they supplying in such precise numbers? Maybe I don't fully understand this myself. Maybe that is the case. But this for me is just suspicious. And how much is being printed, especially considering the current situation. So if we go to this, Bitfinex must face New York allegations over 850 million lost in funds. So that was July the 9th, 2019. I believe this case has been ongoing since 2019. But just going through this, they have New York prosecutors alleged in April 2019, that Bitfinex lost 850 million in client and corporate funds, which obviously isn't the greatest thing for a company this large to do. And they've used that money from affiliated stablecoin Tether to cover the loss. A little suspicious in my opinion, considering their relation and considering their contribution to this bullish market. What I believe is currently happening is we are seeing a major pump, whether that's from institutions, insider traders, or whether that's from Bitfinex and Tether themselves, to make as much money as physically possible before a potential storm brews on the 15th of January 2021. Now, what's interesting with these dates is the delistings of XRP. Now, we've got January the 14th, blockchain.com recently announced they're delisting it as well. We've got Uphold, the beautiful Uphold, those lovely people at Uphold. They are saying they will not delist XRP despite the SEC's current lawsuit, because these people are arguably quite intelligent and they're not looking to jump onto any hype, they're not looking to do anything crazy, and they're looking into matters properly. The SEC, if you actually look into the matter, they're not claiming XRP is specifically a security. They are basically saying that Ripple's sales of XRP constitute as some kind of investment contract. So essentially they're saying it amounts to security sales. But if you've been paying attention, and good old Brave, if you actually pay attention to what's going on and the news that happened, and even if we go back to here when Brad came out with a statement, Ripple came out with a statement saying this is a war on crypto, blah 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 blah, it's quite evident that a lot of this was orchestrated. And if anything, considering the SEC's job is to protect the consumer, they had a pretty bad job protecting the consumer, and they've impacted millions of XRP holders. So if anything, we should probably sue them for what they're doing. But regardless, we managed to capitalize off this, so it's not a problem. But just questioning what they're doing here, and considering that Ripple have always been pushing, you can look back to interviews of David Schwartz from, I think it's from like 2018, saying that we are trying to actually push the SEC and all of these regulatory bodies to give us an answer, because they are not trying to break the law. And the lawsuit itself is kind of directed at Brad. So not necessarily XRP or Ripple themselves, but more at Brad for allegedly having some kind of investment contract sales. But you know, it's all in escrow as well. It's not like they're flooding the market. There's so many things that point to this just being part of the overall agenda for crypto regulations to push forward. And I think what's more important as well is Ripple themselves have said, and I've said this since 2017, we need regulations to thrive. And if we just look at what's currently going on with price dipping lower and then suddenly Ripple coming out of a statement and then price pumping, it's obviously insider trading, which means insiders probably know there is likely going to be something coming forward. And if we do see the delisting situations coming through, maybe that will aid the push to 20 cents or 11 cents, but it doesn't mean it's over. What I think personally is if we look at the date of this situation with Tether, now bearing in mind this will disclose the financial relations on 15th of January this year. So this will disclose everything. So in simple terms, we are going to find out at last, and hopefully at last, whether or not the Bitfinex and Tether relations are corrupted or whether it's positive. If you've seen, the HM Treasury on the 7th of January released a UK regulatory approach to crypto assets and stablecoins. And this is basically, in simple terms, a phase-by-phase agenda looking into everything. And they're looking at DeFi. They've even acknowledged, very important actually to bring this up, what are crypto assets? It's not under security tokens. The UK have noted Bitcoin, Ether and XRP, widely known crypto assets, are exchange tokens. They are simply unregulated tokens or utility tokens to access a DLT platform. The overall agenda at the moment is presently focused on stable coins, and this is where the CBDC agenda comes into play, because if we do start seeing CBDCs implemented into society, we know what protocol is arguably the best candidate to assist in this overall digital ecosystem that we're merging into slowly but surely. So the signs for me point quite positive, and the fact that the UK have acknowledged all this, they're covering all of this in depth, and they're basically saying they are looking to start regulating this but also looking into it further. They're already testing DLT technology with the sandbox. Let me search for sandbox. Support for DLT-based services through the FCA sandbox. The FCA continues to support innovative financial services firms through its various initiatives. This includes direct support functions. They're basically testing and they're trying to find solutions. They've covered that DeFi at present is looking very interesting. It's looking promising. It looks like it could aid the space, but they're pushing that down the list a bit lower. And at the moment, stablecoins are the major interest. So if we just put two and two together, we've just got this statement, well, this document that's been released showing us the agenda. We've got the 15th of January coming through. And you may note, I don't recall if I said this or not in the prior video, but I believe these delistings could actually be done on purpose to aid and potentially protect the price of XRP before something catastrophic may potentially happen from the 15th onwards. We've got the 14th of January. Coinbase came out. Where's Coinbase? 19th of January. Now, Coinbase, they're a questionable firm in themselves, and I used to use them more in 2017. Before it got popular, it was very easy for me to just buy Ether. If you saw on Twitter, I was showing a lot of my Ether buys from 2017 on Coinbase. I bought like 250 in total Ether in 2017, around March from Coinbase. They were good. But in this present day, a company that's gone to IPO, how the hell are they still going down when price is pumping? They are the key of manipulation, and something about this date being after this, the date of the 15th and the 14th, for example, is a bit questionable to me, and it could bring the possibility of price either pumping, or they could just be doing some kind of manipulation to drag price down to my intended buy limit target. So there's a lot of different pieces coming together, but the majority of the delistings for XRP are looking to become finalized around the 12th to the 15th of January, which coincidentally aligns with the the date that Bitfinex must hand over some stuff. So in theory, considering institutions are still able to actually buy XRP, this would not surprise me in the slightest if, with a potential collapse coming for BTC, what if, and I say what if because it is still a possibility, what if something bad happens with Tether and that causes the collapse of BTC, which could bring us all the way back down? Because if something bad happens and they find out there's some kind of unethical practice going on with USDT, because as we know, who what is this? They're basically fractional reserve banking themselves. They have literally become the Federal Reserve of cryptocurrency. And why is no one questioning this? And why is stuff like this news? It is not relevant in the current world, but that's a story for another day. Goodness me. But yeah, looking at all of this stuff here and considering institutions can still buy, and considering XRP will be delisted around the same day we're going to get clarity on Bitfinex and Tether, putting 2 and 2 together, price is arguably very low. We've broken out of a channel, and just before, if you understand how institutions work and people with significant amounts of crypto, if you've bought here, you pump it higher, you take your profit and you buy in lower. That is a similar methodology I've tried to mimic myself with XRP. Now, just putting these together and looking at where it currently is and looking at where BTC is and looking at what's going on, we could say that arguably this could be a manipulative agenda to push price down maybe once more, or just blow this through the roof. Because when people start taking profits, whether it's the implosion of USDT or whether it's the retail traders absolutely pooing their pants to see a drastic decline in price, profits will be taken. And institutions and any kind of investor or anyone that has a stake, whether that's insider trading or not, when you take profits out of the market, you replace them into something that is much cheaper to recycle the process and make more money. You do not just take your profits and just go to Barbados for the rest of your life. As long-term investors and funds and stuff, you do continue buying and reinvesting into other assets. So I do not deem the SEC news threatening in any way whatsoever. And as we've seen here, I just saw this today, I haven't even opened the article or read it yet, but Ripple has no control over XRP Listing, says Brad. Love Brad, the man, the myth, the legend. In a release statement in response to some of the uncertainties regarding the lawsuit, he said that 95% of XRP trading is happening outside of the US. So who cares what the SEC think? I believe this is all a massive threatening sign, and they're trying to push out the retail trader because, again, they're covering all kinds of different emerging markets. They're in the UK, they're everywhere. It's not just the US that dominates the world, and arguably it's a massive market. But even though they did try to settle, as we saw, and it didn't work, they have been pushing for an agreement, and they've specifically stated, you know, tell us what your guidelines are so you do not come back to us in 3 or 4 years or 5 years time and say you have been acting illegally. They are trying to push for regulation. They are trying to push for clarity. And if anything, this is just going to provide better clarity on the crypto space overall. So whether they get fined and then it brings forward better regulatory clarity, or whether they get away with it and the SEC turns out to be in the wrong for not providing clarity, I see nothing changing on this overall prospectus. And I believe, if anything, it's going to push us through the absolute roof. Now, you guys know I've been very optimistic with long-term targets for this. And if this gets utilized how it should be, if this can be $42,000, which is outrageous, for something that is still not really working, it's still not efficient, it cannot be used in real life in terms of into our payment ecosystem because it's not scalable. And although we've got Lightning Network and all of these off-chain and all this stuff that they're layering on top, Bitcoin at a core level is not scalable. So yeah, we can provide implementations, we can provide upgrades, we can hard fork, but it's not suitable for our society. It's not going to be used for everyday payments, I believe, in terms of cross-border payments, but obviously we know XRP can, and that's something that's going on. I actually believe in this document they mentioned COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the use of digital forms of payments, which could increase the uptake of stablecoins for transactions and remittances in the future. Now, as you guys know, I said in 2017, from 2020 to 2025, there is going to be an agenda that pushes us towards a cashless society and a further adoption of digital assets. Now, granted, I did not predict COVID-19. I don't think anyone did, besides not going to say any names, but you get what I'm saying and you get where I'm coming from. So the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously aided the agenda being shifted forward much faster than anticipated, which is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And we're seeing many good signs of what's going on here. But we just need to pay attention to the whole situation at present with Tether. Because with everything that's going on in the market right now, the last thing we really want to be doing is buying. You know, again, looking at the January signs from December, November, January, there's a lot of signs, and as a trader I use confluences. So whether that's support and resistance, Fibonacci, breakouts, retest, I use confluences, and there's a lot of confluences pointing to January being a fairly detrimental month to the Bitcoin or the crypto market overall. It could cause a push lower on a lot of this stuff as well. And as I covered, with USDT predominantly being pumped into BTC, and with a lot of the money and a lot of the transactions for USDT solely being the reason for buying BTC right now, it has restricted a lot of the altcoins we see. Because before, even though Ether's pumping due to some good news and stuff, there's upgrades coming, a lot of the altcoins, they surged. They actually saw better returns in 2018 when the Tether situation happened, because people went back, due to the uncertainty of Tether, people went back to utilizing things like F and XRP and LTC because that was their sole purpose, and it was a much more safer alternative of using stable coins. So with everything that's going on, we just want to be cautious, and the main point of this video is to show you I'm in profit. It was a successful trade. You guys should all be in profit as well if you followed along, and more importantly, just piecing together all of these little nitty bitty crumbs that I can find to hopefully come to a fairly solid idea of what may be happening, or at least a good prediction on what could be happening. There's nothing with certainty that we know, but with this stablecoin stuff now coming forward as well, conveniently at the same time, there is obviously going to be a much stronger look into stablecoins. Now, we already know as well, USDT, they keep yo-yoing back and forth with whether or not they are actually backed by real reserves. And there was a point in time where they said they were, then they came out and said they weren't, and they were backed by all kinds of different investment vehicles instead. They're just crazy. And then they come back and said, yes, we are backed. So we are going to find out on the 15th, hopefully, if that is actually the case. And it will get very interesting from there if that is the case. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. But regardless, whether it goes lower or not, or whether it just blows through the roof, I believe we could be seeing a $1 to $2 at the bare minimum XRP. And if all of this comes out as a massive fugazi, then the roof is the limit. And if we do break all-time highs, we already know we are going to start blowing through the roof to $10 and upwards. And hope, you know, I'm not going to say anything. I'm absolutely not going to say anything, but we should at least at the bare minimum hit around 80 cents to $1 this year. But the sky is the limit. I'm not going to say anything on that side, but you guys who have been following me for years know if we can get to $3.3 here with not much of a real reason, backed by BTC, we could see the decoupling as well of BTC and many other assets this year, especially if this stuff goes down. But I will throw it out there, if this does come through, and if it is found that there is some kind of questionable narrative or questionable behavior of Bitfinex and Tether, I would not be surprised if Bitfinex goes bust this year. If this is to come true, Bitfinex could potentially collapse, which could then aid a movement down, capital going into something like XRP, and we've seen it many times over. And it could mean that a lot of people that are invested in cryptos will not want to see their altcoins die anymore, so they will take those profits and they will shift it in, or they will aid the agenda for altcoins to go higher whilst XRP potentially crashes. This is all an idea. I'm just throwing out opinions, but again, just throwing out stuff that people elsewhere will probably not tell you, or signs that people will not look into. They all said it was dead. It's gone up over 100% since crashing. So it's all in the charts really, and it's all in the news. If you're going to read the news properly, or if you're going to jump on the cycle and the FUD of the SEC stuff, you know, at least look into it properly and understand what's actually going on. I do not like people that just spread absolute rubbish or fear. You could argue that maybe I'm spreading fear on BTC, but the point is, if obviously the stuff comes true, or if it doesn't come true, let's just say Bitfinex and Tether are as legit as can be, this should easily then go to around $125,000 to $130,000, maybe higher, maybe 150, because the channel is showing we are in a steady uprise. So it could still come down, but even if it comes up to here, this is all a possibility of 10k. So do not rule this out from a long-term perspective. 1,000 to 150, 20,000 to 3,000. If it goes up there, it still comes 10,000 to 5,000. You know, there's a clear support floor here. And this is a game of patience. We're not here to say it just because it goes up to the moon. These people focus on stuff like this. They just look at this and just go, whoa, it's never going to stop. But just zoom out. Zoom out, be logical, be emotionless, be calculated, and be patient. And you'd be surprised at what this market can do. It's proven itself time and time again. We've got these investments here. Again, I'm obviously giving you guys my profits from Blockfolio now, as I've obviously taken Ripple off Kraken. This is why I'm using Kraken, because they still allow the listing of XRP, because they're not falling into the hype yet. Maybe they'll go back on their steps as well and remove it, but they've kind of said, and same as Uphold, until we see an actual answer to this court case, they're not going to delist, because why would they? There's no backing yet. A court case is not finalized until the judge gives the final answer, until the SEC come to a conclusion. Until then, it's just smoke and mirrors. You know, I think I said this on Twitter. You know, if I went to McDonald's and got a 20 chicken nugget box meal and 2 of the nuggets were undercooked, and I then sued McDonald's because they undercooked my chicken nuggets, it's an allegation. Would you as an investor in McDonald's then cash out your shares and just sell because it's over? No, it's an allegation. And granted, I'm not the SEC, but that is currently the stage we're at. It's just allegations, and until it goes through the court of law and until we get some kind of clarity on it, nothing has changed yet, and I'm happy to bet my money on it for now. And whether it goes up, whether I lose everything, or whether it goes to the moon, at least I've documented it for all to see, and at least it's been as transparent as possible. Whether it dies and I lose everything, or whether it goes up, I do not care, because I always put my money where my mouth is. Always, that testicular fortitude has never really failed me before, and quite frankly, I would just feel more comfortable knowing that people have seen the entire transparent journey from beginning to end. So whatever happens from here, I'm going to continue updating you guys regardless, and hopefully you are finding value in all of these videos. Hopefully it's helping you see a different side to the coin as well. Quite frankly, pardon the pun, but hopefully you are seeing where I'm coming from here. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. If there's any other kind of videos you guys need, let me know and we will get back to that, and we will make plenty more content for you. But please make sure you are watching those course lessons as well from crypto and forex, because it will help you piece together much more of what I'm saying. And don't forget to always do your own research as well.